Goeiedag! Good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And I got this video from Teresa van Leishout, who's been live on my channel a couple of times. And, you know, this lady, I got to take my hat off to her. She's the first one who brought out the patents that Bill and Melinda Gates had taken on the coronavirus vaccine. You know, this is not something that just happened in the last few weeks. They've been planning this for over a decade. But what is so ironic about the video that's attached here is that you've got Google stroke YouTube now complaining that, guess who? News Limited. Yeah, you know the Murdochs? They own News Limited, have been using their little guys, their advisors who are sort of hanging around the halls of Canberra, where the Australian Parliament is, to put pressure on the Australian government to move the goalposts so that News Limited will benefit and YouTube and Google will suffer when it comes to profits. And guess who immediately put out a letter to the Australian public through their network? Yeah, Google and YouTube. I got this letter as well. I just ignored it. But seeing that Teresa's talking about it in this video, it's worthwhile just referring to it. Because these are the guys who are censoring my voice, your voice, the voice of millions of YouTube channels because of their own political agenda. And now they're crying foul to the Australian public because another business, which is News Limited, is now going to try and take a lot of their profits. This is how completely corrupted this whole internet platform system is. This is why we have our own platform coming out in the next few weeks. That's at lovinglifetv.com. Please make sure that you bookmark it. I know it says under construction. Rudy is working on that right now, but in the next couple of weeks it'll be up. And we're going to be transitioning out of the cesspool of Google and YouTube with all the crap that they throw, not only at me. Look, I've been covered in shit for years by YouTube. You have no idea some of the things that they've tried to do to shut down my channels on YouTube. It has been quite extraordinary, but it's okay. Look, I'm a survivor, and that's why we're moving to lovinglifetv.com. But now that the shoe's on the other foot, and those lobbyists in Canberra working for Murdoch have got a win, where now they're going to be taking millions of dollars away from the profits of Google and YouTube. They're now squealing like a stuck pig. Well, you know what YouTube can do and Google can do? They can go and pog my horn. I have absolutely no sympathy for them. And believe me, when we get this new lovinglifetv.com channel happening, we're going to have other YouTubers joining us. We're going to have a stable of YouTube channels, so there'll be a lot of news coming through that every day. We're going to have supporting information, a whole lot of stuff. We're going to have forums in there. This is going to be a really exciting news network, totally interactive, totally for South Africa, and specifically for the people who are fighting the corruption within the ANC government and, of course, that terrorist organization, the Economic Freedom Fighters, who appear to be above the law. All right, guys, here comes Teresa's video. Hope you enjoy it. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.
I'm going to present two pieces of evidence to you, what the federal politicians have done to you this year, 2020. There's two areas of evidence. The first one is to do with censorship open letter to Australians by the Executive Director of Google Australia. And the second area of evidence is the military, what the federal politicians have done to you with the Defence Legislation Amendment Enhancement of Defence Force Response to Emergencies Bill 2020. First, I'll read the letter, open letter to Australians, which was published in August of 2020 by the director, the Executive Director, Mel Silver, Managing Director of Google Australia. She posted a letter, an open letter to Australians in August of 2020. A lot of people would have missed that letter, but I printed it off, and because it's incredibly important what this woman has said in this letter. It's a 4-page letter, basically. Let me read it to you. Open letter to Australians. It was published August 2020. Executive Director of Google Australia. We need to let you know about new government regulation that will hurt how Australians use Google search and YouTube. A proposed law, this is what the federal politicians have done. A proposed law, the News Media Bargaining Code, would force us to provide you with a dramatically worse Google search and YouTube, could lead to your data being handed over to big news businesses, and would put the free services to you use at risk in Australia. The way Aussies search every day on Google is at risk from new regulation. You've always relied on Google search and YouTube to show you what's most relevant and helpful to you. We could no longer guarantee that under this law. The law would force us to give an unfair advantage to one group of businesses, news media businesses, over everyone else who has a website, YouTube channel, or small business. News media businesses alone would be given information that would help them artificially inflate their ranking over everyone else, even when someone else provides a better result. We've always treated all website owners fairly when it comes to information we share about ranking. The proposed changes are not fair, and they mean that Google search results and YouTube will be worse for you. So this is a big, massive warning that this woman was giving to the Australian people. Your search data may be at risk. You trust us with your data, and our job is to keep it safe. Under this law, Google has to tell news media businesses how they can gain access to data about your use of our products. There's no way of knowing if any data handed over would be protected or how it might be used by news media businesses, hurting the free services you use. We deeply believe in the importance of news to society. We partner closely with Australian news media businesses. We also pay them millions of dollars and send them billions of free clicks every year. There's a big admittance there. We've offered to pay more to license content. But rather than encouraging these types of partnerships, the law is set up to give big media companies special treatment and to encourage them to make enormous and unreasonable demands that would put our free services at risk. The law wouldn't just impact the way Google and YouTube work with news media businesses, it would impact all of our Australian users, so we want to let you know. We're going to do everything we possibly can to get this proposal changed so we can protect how search and YouTube work for you in Australia and continue to build constructive partnerships with news media businesses, not choose one over the other. You'll hear more from us in the coming days. Stay tuned. Thank you. Mel Silver, Managing Director on behalf of Google Australia. And there's a picture of her there. She issued that open letter in August 2020 giving a warning to the Australian people as evidence what the federal politicians have done to you, Liberal and Labor, and the Greens and Nationals. They are absolute criminals, using the federal law to increase censorship of Australians on social media, because Google owns YouTube. There's a huge, massive increase in censorship, Facebook, YouTube, social media censorship. So my message to the Managing Director of Google Australia, Mel Silver, is that you have to ignore the political made law and side with the people. The political made law is evil. Those politicians, those lockdown politicians, have been using the law for evil for many, many years, and you're going to be judged. All social media giants throughout the world, the directors, the executive directors, the people managing them and running them, are going to be judged on moral grounds by a great God in heaven and Jesus Christ of the New Testament. all over the world. You are going to be judged on moral grounds, not the political made law. The political made law is 100% irrelevant. It means nothing at all other than it's been used for evil purposes to destroy the rights of the world's people and the Australian people. So you need to ignore federal and state laws because they're evil. You're going to be judged on moral grounds. That is a fact. Second area of evidence I want to present to you is the Defence Legislation Amendment Enhancement of Defence Force Response to Emergencies Bill 2020. Again, the federal politicians, Liberal, Labor, Greens, Nationals. Don't worry, the state politicians are just as evil. Summary. Now, this is amazing, as well as the censorship issue, is that they're using the Defence Force reserves and foreign Defence Force they want to use it to destroy the Australian people. And the summary of the bill, which was presented early September, I'll go through the dates in a minute, amends the Defence Act 1903 to streamline the process for calling out members of the Australian Defence Force reserves, including for the purpose of responding to natural disasters or emergencies, and provide ADF members with other defence personnel and members of foreign forces with immunity from criminal or civil liability in certain cases while performing duties to support civil emergency and disaster preparedness, such as a fake virus, recovery and response, Defence Reserve Service Protection Act 2001 to ensure that reserve members who are subject to a reserve call-out order will continue to receive the existing protections, and the Australian Defence Force Cover Act 2015, Australian Defence Force Superannuation Act 2015, and Military Superannuation and Benefits Act 1991 to ensure that reserve members rendering continuous full-time service will receive the same entitlement to superannuation and related benefits regardless of whether it was voluntary or not. Whether it was voluntary or not, which means they have got intentions to conscription to use for evil purpose the ADF reserves and foreign military on a possibly potentially conscription basis, and throw plenty of money at them to do the evil work of those lockdown politicians. Now, this is introduced. Some people say we've still got time to defeat it. No, sorry, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It was introduced and read first reading 3rd of September 2020. There's the dates list of the readings and the pass in the lower house, House of Representatives. Second reading moved 3rd of September 2020. Second reading debate 6th of October 2020. Second reading agreed to 6th of October 2020. Third reading agreed to 6th of October 2020. So between the 3rd of September and the 6th of October, the lower house passed this bill. In the Senate, it was introduced and read a first time the 6th of October 2020, so the same day they sent it to the Senate. And the second reading was moved on the 6th of October 2020. So on that same day that they passed it, they sent it there, and it's got a first. They passed it on that same day, 6th of October, is got it introduced and read first time, and second reading moved on the same day, 6th of October. So it's a done deal. There'll be one more reading, and then it'll be agreed to, as it was in the lower house. So that's already done to you, the Australian people, 25 million people, lockdown purposes. They're trying to get the reserves either by voluntary or conscription to do their evil will, lockdown will, implement the New World Order, and the ability to use foreign military service as well for their purposes. It's all the Book of Revelation, people, and they are in full swing, these politicians, to implement the New World Order in the next 9 years. And forced vax is next year, forced vax. So you need to be preparing for self-sufficiency. We have to remove those politicians by every means possible. I strongly encourage the public to support all military reserves and police and 25 million Australians to sign the Cops for COVID Truth project on Advocate Me website run by the law firm. It can be signed by police officers. It can be signed by Australian military. It can be signed by any government workers, and it can be signed by the 25 million Australians. So I'm vigorously promoting that. There'll be a link to the project, Cops for COVID Truth project, in this video description. I encourage you in the strongest possible terms to sign it as a citizen. You just have to put your name, address, and a little message about why you're signing it. Put that, if you're a citizen, sign it to support the project itself. If you're a police officer, please sign it to support the project. And if you're a member of the military or any government worker, please sign it to support the project, because we desperately need those lockdown politicians to be removed, and they need to be jailed for their crimes towards 25 million Australians. Thank you.
Okay, let's begin. I'm going to start by asking you a couple of test questions just to establish a baseline.
We'll start with an easy one.
Caught out.
This was a great outrageous lie.
We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interest. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.